The Celtics offense is just ungodly good. They are out of control offensively. What's going into it? Plus, the Kornet Contest. How long is that going to last? And where would Sam Hauser go in a redraft? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team. Step back, we gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And I'm here for you every day with a free, fresh podcast dropped directly to your device if you are subscribed. So make sure you are. Watch the show on YouTube as well. We just passed the Locked On Lakers podcast. Now we got to pad that lead. We get on the Celtics for taking their foot off the gas after they get a lead. No, we want to push this up to an insurmountable lead. So keep subscribing on the YouTube channel and making this show your first listen every day. I'm John Karalis, former professional basketball player. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And I've written a book called Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. New shipment going out for people who bought it on johnkaralis.com. And new shipment just came in. So I have a few more books if anybody wants it for a gift for the Celtics fan in your life this holiday season. Later on, we'll talk about Luke Kornet a little bit more, especially that the Kornet Contest. I don't like it. I'm sorry. And then an interesting question about Sam Hauser, who was undrafted a couple years ago. Would he be? Where would he be? That's coming up later. But first, the offense. A couple of segments on this just historically good, incredibly insane offense. I touched on it a little bit last night after the game. Today I'm going to touch on it some more. And I'll bring in our good friend, Tom Westerholm, whose camera just dropped about 4. There you go. How you feeling, Tom? How you doing, man?
I'm feeling like 4 inches too low, but now I'm feeling. Now I'm good. Now
you're back.
I'm back.
Now you're back. We both got our hats on. We both got. I'm missing the glasses. Otherwise, we'd be in like perfect sync here with our looks.
Yeah.
Just like the Celtics are in perfect sync with their offense.
Just like you're in perfect sync with your transitions, boy. Let's go.
Bow! Ha! Anyway, I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
The Celtics are putting up a gazillion points a game. Just peeking through the numbers, trying to put a little something together on Boston Sports Journal. And, obviously the uptick is in their 3-point shooting. They're averaging 11.5 more points per game. And that's coming basically exclusively from the 3-point line, where they're averaging about 50 and change points per game from the 3-point line, where last year they're averaging 39.7. So that accounts for most of the difference. The other part of the difference comes from getting an extra free throw, being aggressive. But I think within that number is baked a significant amount of improvements for this team. How are you getting those 3-pointers? There are a lot more wide open 3-pointers. They are generating a ton of great looks. They are they've ditched a bunch of the mid-range shots, but they're hitting them at a much higher rate. So they're still getting the points from the mid-range that they got before, but they don't have to take as many shots. So that translates to more opportunities from 3, more opportunities at the rim. And it's so incredible. So from all of that, what's your, we're a quarter of the way of the season into this. What's your big kind of takeaway here from first of all, today's show is brought to you by SweatBlock. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, perhaps if they're trying to defend the Boston Celtics, try SweatBlock. Save 20% with the promo code Locked On at sweatblock.com, also available at Amazon. So, Tom, what's your big takeaway here?
Well, my big takeaway is that you remembered that when you were about to throw it to me, and that's when you started thinking about embarrassing odors. So I don't love that.
Yes.
I don't love it.
I didn't want to say it directly to you.
Yeah. All right.
So all I'm telling you, Tom, is you can save 20% with the promo code Locked On at sweatblock.com.
As long as that's all. All right.
That's the only thing that I am telling you directly, overtly.
Fair enough. All right. No, look, I think the thing that's really stood out to me about the Celtics offense is how optimized it is, right? Like what we're
Yeah.
seeing right now is just this like they've really hammered in on all of the things that are the most efficient. Like they've got their superstars. Those guys are the guys that do the bulk of the work. Those guys are the guys who do the bulk of the scoring, the bulk of the shooting, the bulk of like the slashing, all that stuff. And they're also, and then around them are a bunch of shooters. Like this team is just like chock full of shooters right now. Guys like Al Horford, who's shooting like almost 50% from three. Guys like Derek White, who's shooting a career high. But I think it was Smart yesterday who touched on this. It's not like these are crazy shots that they're making. These are all open shots that they're generating because it's so optimized, because they've got the floor so spaced, and the guys who are getting downhill are so good. And I mean, look, like the guys who are handling the ball are all the guys who should be handling the ball. Like they've just got this like click, 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 click thing to it where Marcus Smart is distributing the way, like, I mean, like he's been phenomenal. I think we'll probably get to him at some point here. Derek White has been doing the same thing. Like I looked it up on Synergy the other day. This is the highest that his spot up shooting has ever been in terms of like
Mhm.
usage, and his pick and roll is lower. But the thing is, he does have that pick and roll ability. He always has. That was who he was in San Antonio. He was mostly a pick and roll player in San Antonio. So like, you've got all these guys who are playing perfectly within their skill sets and who are like just kind of operating in tandem with each other. All the shooters can drive a closeout if they need to, but most of the time they don't need to. And so they're just putting up the most efficient shot in basketball, which is an open three, or second if you want to call open layups or whatever. Like one
Sure.
of the most efficient shots in basketball, these corner threes that they're just getting wide open, or these above the break threes that are wide open. So it's just like the Celtics have just put together this this machine. And look, like we'll see how it continues. We'll see how teams learn how to defend it. We're only 21 games into the season, but I mean, like they've done exactly what they should be doing so far. Like this, you can't ask for a more efficient, sort of well-oiled offense than what Joe Mazzulla has kind of crafted.
Yeah, they're doing things, getting the right shots. Like I said before, the mid range. So this season, they're shooting less than 9% of their offense is coming from the mid range. Compare that to last year when it was 12.3% of their offense was coming from the mid range. And last year, they shot 39.5%. This year, they're shooting 50%, which is, that makes it efficient. That makes it,
Right.
if you're shooting 50% from mid range, then fine. Take all the mid range shots that you want. I think one thing that's happening here is Jaylen Brown is starting to kind of make a name for himself. I think he's entering that mid range master type of discussion a little bit. We
Yeah.
all talk about DeRozan for a great reason, and I'm not saying he's at that level quite yet. And Kevin Durant and all these other big mid range guys. Jaylen doesn't shoot with the level of frequency there because he loves to attack the rim and get all the way there. But something to watch as defenses tighten up, and maybe in the playoffs, he's shooting better than 50% from mid range, and that's part of the efficiency here. If he can be the mid range guy, the mid range master, and on top of it, get to the rim and hit some threes, and the Celtics incorporate that with Tatum as your 3-point attacking guy, now you're like, oh geez, now what? Now you've
Right.
got, and so I think you're not asking him to rely on the mid range, but I'm actually saying to Jaylen, feel free to take
Yep.
a couple more, because I think right now everything is actually just fitting together somewhat perfectly. Like you said, you've got ball handlers, so Smart, White, Brogdon, any of those guys, plus obviously Jaylen and Jayson, who
Right.
were primary ball handlers last year. So 5 guys who can handle the ball. But the shooters, those, 2 of those guys, 4 of those guys really can be shooters everywhere. And Marcus Smart this year has kind of entered the discussion as a league average 3-point shooter. So it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you run. It doesn't matter who has the ball. And it allows you to catch and go. Who's bringing it up? Is it Al Horford? Sure, no problem. All these other guys that he passed to can drive. All these other guys that he passes to can shoot. And as long as they trust each other, which I think is a byproduct of that finals run, the realization of they don't need to do it all themselves. I think that is part of what's fueling this offense. In fact, I think Jayson Tatum is incorporating a little Steph Curry into his game here, and that's part of why this offense is kind of cooking the way it did. I'll explain that when I come back. First, today's show is brought to you by SweatBlock. We all know that SweatBlock, that embarrassing odor, it just hits people. Some people just deal with it. Some people, you start to sweat. I have the issue. I'm not gonna lie. If I walk into a room outside from the cold, especially, and I start to sweat, it might not shut off for a little while. Then that's not comfortable for me. So I know that if I go to sweatblock.com and order myself some SweatBlock, they get the dry shirt guarantee. If SweatBlock doesn't keep you dry, you get your money back. I take a shower, I wipe it on, use the wipes. It lasts up to 7 days. So I know that I'm covered all week long. I don't have to worry about, oh, did I forget to put this on? Ugh. So it's out there. A doctor invented it. The reviews on Amazon, you can go read them all. They're incredible. So check it out. SweatBlock has been a bestseller on Amazon for the past 10 years, with over 10,000 5-star reviews. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try SweatBlock. Save 20% with the promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. That's 20% off with the promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. It's also available at Amazon. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make Locked On Sports Today your second listen. All the big stories from around the sports world. The Locked On experts get you the coverage unlike anywhere else. So find it wherever you found this podcast. You can even watch the show on YouTube. So, Tom, I said before the break, Jayson Tatum's incorporating some Steph Curry. You heard him talk recently about, I watch these other guys. I try to take things from other players. KD, he did mention Steph. And how much respect that he gained for the Warriors in the finals. Steph is an incredible pick setter for a guy that's out there shooting and moving as much as he does. Tatum this year has really, I think, upped his pick setting. And I think that has allowed him to open up the offense for other guys and open it up for himself. I think he's incorporating some of that pick setting. You see it from him. You saw it early on, I think last night, or against the Hornets, the first Derek White 3-pointer, I think it was a pick that Tatum set to spring him and get a wide open shot. And it's not just Tatum. I think other guys are doing it. This offense is just kind of allowing a lot of that pick setting and movement, and everybody's just kind of helping everybody out. I said before, it's a level of trust. And I think trust might be the one word that kind of encapsulates why this offense is so good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like they're all, it's all kind of building too, right? Like it's all kind of exponential, because if you're Jayson Tatum, of course you're starting to trust Derek White. Of course you trust Al Horford. Of course you trust all these guys, because one, you've been through a lot of battles with these guys. You know, you've been to the finals. You know, a lot of the guys on the team have learned to trust each other through the finals run. And then the new guys, you know, you look at Malcolm Brogdon, he knows to trust these guys because he watched them go to the finals last year too, right? And like, you know, Brad added Malcolm Brogdon, who everybody trusts because everybody knows that he's overqualified coming off the bench. So it's like it really is kind of this like cycle that builds a little bit. And then as they play together, as they win games together, as they see that, oh yeah, this thing works, and if we all kind of buy into it, you know, it's going to pay dividends. I mean, I think we're seeing that across the board. And so, you know, I mean, with Tatum, it's interesting too. I mean, he's he's been so good that like you could kind of see him just at times like be like, I'm going to take over. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm just like, you know, this is my night tonight. And we just really haven't seen that from him this year. I feel like a lot of his 30, 35 point games, if he was really pushing, it could have been like 40, 45.
Sure.
But we're just really seeing he's hovering right around that 30 point per game average, because so many of his games are just like, yeah, scored 33 today. Yeah, scored 28 today. Yeah, I scored 35 today. And it's like, it's just, you don't even think about it. It's just like, this is what Tatum does.
Yeah, and he's been getting to the rim incredibly well. He's been against the Hornets. It was just a joke.
Just
to borrow the Brad Stevens. Whenever something was incredibly impressive, it was a joke, and that's what it was with Tatum getting to the rim. And look, you got Marcus Smart out there. I didn't talk much about Marcus Smart's 15 assists. I think you've got so many guys in their roles that are just everybody's flourishing in their roles, and I think everybody understands that. Don't try to do too much. Do what you're supposed to do. Everybody can do a lot of things, and when we need you to do more, we'll tell you. But just go out there and do what you do. And for Tatum, attacking the rim, he didn't get a bunch of free throws in this one, but didn't need them. He was just getting to the rim, and guys were bouncing off of him. So
that was the crazy thing about last night's game. He was 4 for 14 from 3 and 1 for 1 from the free throw line, and he still finished with 35 efficient points because the Hornets just had nothing for him.
Yeah.
Like not even close. Nothing.
And then Marcus drops 15 assists because guys are hitting shots. So, Smart's assist numbers are up, and the Celtics assist numbers are up. 63.5% of their offense is now via the assist. 63.5%. That's incredible. That's
quite
up
good.
And they were still at just about 61% last year, but you go back to 2019-2020 season, because I don't want to make it sound like you go back to 1920, because the NBA didn't exist back then. You go back 4 seasons ago, and the assist percentage was 55.7. So that's you're getting closer to about an even split of ISO, and you don't want that. So the assist numbers are huge, and that's leading to some really easy buckets, wide open looks, and guys are knocking down the wide open looks. So how does Marcus Smart get 15 assists? Well, you push the ball in transition, you get the ball to the guys who will cut and the guys who get to their spots, and if you've got clean looks, they're going to hit the shots, and you need the guys to hit the shots to pile up the assists. And I think for Marcus, he's just been a guy who now he's truly a point guard. And I've been on this podcast for years saying that Marcus Smart can be a really effective point guard, and no one wanted to believe me. And I think what we're seeing here is when you finally actually make him the point guard, when you finally actually say, okay, Marcus, forget Dennis Schroeder, forget all these other guys, you are the absolute unquestioned, you are the starting point guard for this team. What does he do? He plays like a point guard. He's a pass-first guy. He doesn't take more than 8-9 shots a game generally, and he's out there setting guys up. You give him weapons to pass to. You put him in a starting lineup with Tatum, Brown, Al Horford, and either Derek White or Grant Williams. Well, you got 2 dynamic scorers and 2 other guys who kind of need to be fed the ball so they can be effective. So Smart says, well, am I going to shoot, or am I going to give the ball to an MVP candidate, an All-NBA candidate, or am I going to be the guy that sets up these 2 other guys because they need to have, some drive and kick so they can catch and be effective? He's point guarding. And I think we're finally seeing him be the full point guard that we've always wanted him to be. And it was funny because I asked Jaylen the other night about playing with a true pass first point guard in Marcus Smart. And as I was asking the question, I was thinking, I wonder if anybody's going to get on my ass on Twitter for saying, what are you talking about? Marcus Smart's a pass first point guard. And nobody said anything because I think everybody kind of sees it. Smart's a very effective point guard.
Right, 100%. And this goes back to the optimization of this team, right? Of putting everybody in their own positions to succeed. We pick on Dennis Schroeder a lot on this pod because he was so bad. But he really was just death for what the Celtics were trying to do, because he was a ball dominant guy. He's not some kind of distributor. And because he put guys like Marcus Smart in a position that they should not be in. This is optimized Marcus Smart. He shoots when he absolutely has to shoot. He passes, however many percent of the time. I think I looked it up yesterday. He's his assist to use. So his usage is pretty low for a point guard, but his assist adjusted for his usage is very high for a point guard. It's 82nd percentile, even though he doesn't have the ball in his hands that much. When he does, he is getting just racking up assists at a level that's good even for a point guard. So this is just who he should have been offensively all the time, and that is frankly not on him. That is on the team construction. That is on the coaching, and I say coaching, like, I'm not saying Brad Stevens made mistakes here. Like, Brad Stevens had Kyrie Irving. Brad Stevens had Kemba Walker. Brad Stevens had guys who, like, were supposed to be out there. So, it's just, this was how the roster was just always constructed in a way that was going to make it harder for Marcus Smart. But
Yeah.
now that's not what it is anymore. Like, this is the roster that Marcus Smart, that an optimized Marcus Smart would be playing on. And I said it before, but I just think that, like, what we're seeing is, like, so many optimized guys. And this is what you see when that happens. When Jayson Tatum is given the opportunity to be the superstar, when Jaylen Brown is given the opportunity to also be superstar, but maybe just a tiny bit lower than the other guy. Like, when Al Horford is just, hey, make some threes, and when Embiid comes around, go defend him. Like, when Grant Williams, like, it's like everybody's just got their perfect little slice of Celtics offense, and a perfect big slice in some cases of Celtics offense. And I just think that's a big part of what we're seeing.
This offense is playing at historic levels. Maybe there's going to be some regression at some point, but my final thought is this, and I kind of said this last night after the game. This offense is cooking with guys playing a little bit above their heads. Derek White, Al Horford shooting above their heads a little bit, maybe Malcolm Brogdon as well. However, it's also cooking with Tatum and Brown not shooting well from three.
Right.
So whatever regression might happen from these other guys, you're due for an uptick in Jaylen and Jayson. So
yeah,
there may be a drop-off on some levels, but also, and Joe Mazzulla said this after the game, there's a lot that they can do better. There is a lot that they can do better, which is scary. All right, let's leave that there. We'll come back. We'll talk, because there's going to be so much talk about the offense that we'll be able to fill 10 podcasts. We'll come back. We'll talk about Luke Kornet, and we'll talk about Sam Hauser. Where would Sam Hauser have been drafted, assuming, Tom, that he would have been drafted if people knew then what they know now? We'll talk about that in a minute. First, today's show is also brought to you by ExpressVPN. We know ExpressVPN protects your privacy and security online, right? But here's something you might not know. You can also use ExpressVPN to unlock movies and shows that are only available in other countries. Maybe you've run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. In this, ExpressVPN will change your world because it allows you to binge The Office on UK Netflix. It's so simple to do. You sign into Netflix, you fire up ExpressVPN on the app, you change your location to the UK, refresh Netflix, and boom, there you go. ExpressVPN lets you control where you want sites to think you're located, so you can choose from almost 100 different countries. So just imagine all the Netflix libraries you can go through. Do you love Korean dramas? Use ExpressVPN to parasite off South Korean Netflix with your Netflix subscription. But it's not just Netflix. ExpressVPN works with any streaming service: Hulu, BBC, iPlayer, YouTube, you name it. There are hundreds of VPNs out there, but the reason you should use ExpressVPN is to watch the shows that are to watch your shows is because it's ridiculously fast. There's never any buffering or lag. You can stream in HD, no problem. ExpressVPN also works on all your devices, phones, media console, smart TVs, and more, so you can watch what you want on the big screen or on the go. So if you want to get access to hundreds of new shows, go to expressvpn.com/lockedon right now. You can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/lockedon, expressvpn.com/lockedon to learn more. Today's show is also brought to you by my good friends at Craic Sauce. Craic. If you're on YouTube, you see what it looks like. Craic. It's an Irish word, Craic Sauce, and it is delicious. And you can get 10% off Craic Sauce by ordering through their website with the promo code Locked On. It's made in Lowell. It's made by a Celtics season ticket holder. It's locally sourced ingredients, local employees. You are supporting Massachusetts small businesses and Massachusetts employees and a fellow Celtics fan by buying Craic Sauce for yourself, for anybody who likes hot sauce as a gift. These are your different varieties. You can put them on top of things. You can use them as ingredients in food. And there's a new limited edition Aji Punch sauce available. People are putting this on their pie and ice cream and pancakes and in cocktails. It sounds crazy, but it works. Sweet Heat Baby. Super limited edition sauce. Again, all local farm sauce. Sweet with a little bit of heat. It's big, bold flavors. It's hot sauce, done different, built different. It's CRAICSauce.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON to get 10% off. So, Tom, Luke Kornet has been getting better and better and better. And I think we're getting to a point now where we're actually seeing how the Celtics could use Robert Williams, how Robert Williams might impact the offense just by watching Luke Kornet, because he's doing a lot of the same things. We just say, okay, here's the Luke stuff. Let's just supercharge it. Let's Rob charge it and make it like that much better. But he's doing a lot of the same things. Although I don't know that we're going to see Rob do the Kornet contest. I don't think Rob's going to challenge from the middle of the lane.
Rob gets out. Rob actually gets out and blocks those threes.
He gets out to those, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like a thing he does often. So yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he's stopping short anytime soon.
So this came in to me to the mailbag at johnkaralis.com from Philip. Can we stop and consider the Kornet contest? Two reputable outlets, The Athletic and Heat Check, analyze it and show roughly a 25% effective field goal percentage for opponents shooting threes. Is he onto something? Now, he says Marcus Smart tried it in one game, and I don't know that Marcus actually did that. Did he?
Oh,
I missed that.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
He has?
Yep, he did it. I do not remember the game, but it was pretty recent. He did it. He has done it pretty recently.
I must have been looking down. I don't believe in that thing. I don't believe in the Kornet contest. I've said it on this podcast before. I'm not trying to rain on people's parades. I don't think it does anything. I think the 25% effective field goal percentage is just luck. I don't think people miss because he's jumping. And if anybody does, it's because they're not a great shooter anyway. I think the good shooters, you put them out here. Let's try the Kornet contest against Steph Curry and see how those fall. Like, I just don't.
Okay, that's a little tough on the court. Like, I agree with you mostly, but like, we're talking about that's the greatest shooter of all time. Like, of course, Steph's going to make that shot.
Put him against any good shooter. You think you think in practice that Derek White suddenly can't hit shots because Kornet is contesting from the middle of the lane? I doubt it. I just doubt it. Plus, it takes him out of position. I've seen him get pulled out of position for rebounds. I've seen him get pulled out of position. And Joe Mazzulla said, like, Mazzulla was asked about it before the game, and it was pretty funny because he was like, "Yeah, you can see him straining. He the guys are starting to figure it out and drive by him. He's gonna have to be better." So yeah, I don't know how long that move is gonna stick around for, but it was kind of funny last night to hear people talk about it.
So I agree with you. I actually don't think that the 25% thing is a fluke, but like, I do think it's weird, right? And like, shooting is all about rhythm and confidence. And if you see somebody do something kind of weird, it's almost like, wait, what is that? And then like that it almost makes you think about your shot as opposed to just kind of like feeling the shot that you've taken 1,000 times and taken 1,000,000 times and practiced 1,000,000 times. It just makes it a little bit, it makes it a little bit more confusing, I guess. But I will say that, like, I think that when people start to figure out how to drive it, when people figure out that, hey, a quick little pump fake and go, like, all of a sudden this guy's like out of position, like, and had like no way of getting back into the play, really. Like, all these like offensive rebounds that he gives up, it's not long for this world. I do think that it could that it works a little bit, but it's definitely not something that they should rely on. It's not something that Kornet should rely on, because I think if he's getting real playoff minutes, and you and I are in agreement that he's a guy who has a chance to be in the rotation even when Rob comes back, like, that's going to matter. Like, it's going to matter whether, like, that Kornet contest, he does rely on it quite a bit. And I think once like the postseason rolls around and stuff like that, you're not going to be able to get away with that. Like, guys are going to be too good. Offenses are going to be too good. The scouts are going to be too good. Like, they're going to know, they're going to be like, hey, like, maybe you get away with it the first game. Game two, after 48 hours of like the most intensive scouting that like happens at the NBA level, they're going to be like, pump fake, Kornet goes up, and then you go get a layup. No, I'm with you. I think maybe we've got another like 10 games of it. But I think by the time the season's like half over, I think we're going to probably be done talking about the Kornet contest.
Yeah. I'm going to be, I don't know. I'll leave it at that, because people love it. And I get it. It is fun to see him just jump from the middle of the lane. Like, that's actually a funny thing. So
It's very
whatever.
funny. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. I'm not telling people not to enjoy it. I'm just saying that as a basketball thing, it's probably ineffective. Let's wrap this show up because we got a question. Tom, you actually sent me the tweet from somebody who said, "Where would Sam Hauser go in a redraft of the 2021 draft?" He was undrafted. So my response to you was, well, he'd be drafted. That's for sure.
Yep. That unquestionably drafted.
Now the question
Yep.
is, would he have been a first or second rounder?
So I just went back through the 2021 draft, and like, not only is he a first rounder, there's a chance he's a lottery pick, like a late lottery pick here. So like, we'll go through it together because like this is like, you've seen some of these guys now. This isn't just like, this isn't just college guys, whatever. In a redraft, so Cade Cunningham goes ahead of him. Jalen Green, sure. Evan Mobley, absolutely. Jalen Green, also absolutely. I didn't mean to downgrade that. Jalen Green has looked really good. Jalen Green, absolutely. Evan Mobley, absolutely. Scotty Barnes, absolutely. Jalen Suggs, we reach our first interesting one. He's been fine, but I mean, maybe at number 5, but like, I mean, he was a dynamic player in college, but I mean, I put him with a question mark. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sam Hauser's been really effective. And like, yeah, he plays a role, but it's a super crucial role. So I'm putting Jalen Suggs with a question mark. Josh Giddey. I think you probably take Josh Giddey, but like, again, like Sam Hauser's a winning basketball player right now. Like all that 3-point shooting, I don't know. So I would take Josh Giddey, but like a little question mark. Jonathan Kuminga. Taking Hauser, right?
Kuminga, right. Like, I mean, I think if we're redrafting, like you go down to Franz Wagner, and Wagner goes up to 5, I think, to I mean, still to Orlando, which is great. So
got lucky there.
Him. Yeah.
Then you look
Suggs,
at like,
I was gonna say Suggs. Kuminga's definitely a question mark. So keep going. So
we got Davion Mitchell. I mean, he's had some moments. Like Zaire Williams, no, I'm not taking him. He doesn't shoot like Hauser. James Bouknight, obviously no. Josh Primo, like yeesh, obviously no. Chris Duarte, no. Moses Moody, I don't think so. Like I'm taking Hauser. I'm taking the automatic bucket. Like Corey Kispert, I mean like that's kind of like take your pick, like whichever one you want. Like they both shoot. Alperen Sengun, I mean, probably taking him. Sure. There's something there. But then, you get to like Trey Murphy, Kai Jones, Jalen Johnson, Keon Johnson, Isaiah Jackson, Usman Garuba, Josh Christopher, Quentin Grimes, Bones Highland. There's one, right? Like I would take Bones Highland. I think that there's a lot going on there with him in Denver. Jaden Springer, Cameron Thomas, Day'Ron Sharp, Santi Aldama. And then we're into the second round. And you go through the second round. There's Herb Jones, who, yes, I would, I would take him. And Ayo Dosunmu. And it's like after that, there's not really anybody. So if you count those out, right? If you count all those dudes, at that point you're looking at putting him right around the 15 range. So if you wanted, if you wanted to use a late lottery pick on Sam Hauser, late lottery, if you pick up like a for sure, no questions asked, super productive role player at 13, you had a great draft. And that's what Sam Hauser appears to be at this stage. So, I mean, he certainly was better than, Joe Weiskamp or like some of these other guys who were drafted just to shoot. So, I mean, here we are.
We'll see if anybody has an opportunity to kind of make a turnaround in their performances. It's only been a couple of years. But I'm going through these names. I can see somewhere in that late teens, 17, 18, 19 would be, I think, where you could probably pick up Sam Hauser.
So, okay, all right, but then let me ask you. So we got Cade, Jalen, Mobley, Barnes, Wagner, Highland, Herb Jones, Ayo Dosunmu, and then like Josh Giddey. And then like who are like, so the other ones that we've got here are like Sengun, Davion Mitchell, Corey Kispert. Like, who of those are you taking over him?
Well, no, I mean, but like you can go down to Cam Thomas and like, there are guys who are more dynamic than him.
Sure. Absolutely.
And one thing we do have to consider, because I'm not the biggest redraft guy, that this is if, I don't know, the Thunder or the Grizzlies, or pick a team, if the Knicks took Sam Hauser, would he be doing this or not? Because one of the things about Sam Hauser is catch and shoot guy. And he's on a team where they needed a catch and shoot guy. That's why that's why they kept him, right? That's why they kept him. And because he was the catch and shoot guy. And now he's working on catching in, but we were talking about Matt Ryan, over the summer. You could have kept Matt Ryan and who knows what he would have been. But I think one of the joys of Sam Hauser is that he fits what Boston has needed, and he's held his own defensively. You put him on a team that's not great defensively, and he looks much, much worse. And I know the Celtics are not exactly killing it defensively, but they also have really good defenders.
Right.
And I think defense is just down in the NBA right now anyway. So, but you put him on a bad defensive team, and it's like, holy dear God, Sam Hauser might be the worst defender in the league. And that's why last year, like, this is the other thing. He wasn't this good last season. He was on the team last season, and it's not like he came out right away and did all of this. It's an opportunity. It's the right mix. It's the right coach. It's the right everything. So I don't want to go too far overboard. I think that he could have been a first-round pick and could have fit. And I think ideally a later first-round pick, because then he would have gone to a team that was better, that could kind of use his skill set. But I think if he went to 11, okay, if the Hornets drafted him instead of Bouknight, put him on that Hornets team, and what would we be talking about right now? Oh, my God. Jayson Tatum took Hauser and I don't know if Hauser can even play in the NBA anymore. He just destroyed him. Like, that's what we'd be talking about if they drafted Sam Hauser. So we do have to keep in mind that there are other elements here at play. So I'm like in between. I do agree with you that he's right now this guy. If he's this good on any team, then yeah, great. But I do think realistically that he's probably he's shown that he's got the talent to be a late first round pick.
Okay. I would go a little higher than that, but I think that's reasonable. I mean, I think with the redraft question, a lot of times, I mean, yeah, of course you have to take, like, especially this early, right? After, like, I mean, we're only, like, these 2021 guys are in their second season. So, like, I think, like, context is always going to matter in that situation, right? Like guys are always going to thrive or not thrive based on context in their second year, I feel like. I'm willing to push them a little higher, but I'm not. Like, my initial look at it, I was looking down. I was like, this guy's top 10. Now I'm much closer to, like, I still think he's in the teens, but late. But you're right though. I do think you're right that like getting him on a good team would make a big difference. I mean, can you imagine him on, like, the Warriors? Like, good Lord.
Oh my God. Yeah. Then people will be talking about him as a top 5 pick.
Right? Exactly.
But here's my problem. Here's my personal issue with redrafts. As far as how I can't fully engage in that process, I am compelled to add context to things. And I cannot let something go by that's out of context all that often. So people will say that redrafting is such a fun exercise, and like, oh yeah, this guy's doing great. Like, he would go like this, and I'm like 11 and whatever. And you're like, and I'm like, in my soul, I'm like, oh, but he's not in the right situation to be good there, and that would be a disaster. So let's do a
2017 redraft sometime, just to really torture you.
Go away, Tom Westerholm.
I will.
All right, bye. That's the end of the show, which once again has gone way too long, but that's okay because we had fun with it. Hope you had fun with it too. And if you're not a subscriber, if you're still here, I hope that that means you are going to subscribe. If you are a subscriber, especially on YouTube, still pushing that YouTube for my own personal ego issues. Please subscribe there and share the podcast. Tell your friends and family and everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.